Hello, everybody. How's it going? Happy Wednesday. Hope it's as fun as mine has been. I've had a pretty fun Wednesday. Can't complain. So here we are doing our bard for our D&D sculpt. And just as a little reminder, I always like to show reference for those people that will be tuning in new. And I always like to show this throughout, but so we have like a really basic sketch, and last week we blocked in our sculpt for our body, which I think is looking pretty good. Okai Sato already in it. Hello, how's it going? And I really like this reference that I grabbed here. I like the variety of textures that you get, so I like the stitched, kind of like fur stitching is really fun. And like little fur belts and things, and this little leather strap. I have no idea how this attaches. It's like a hood, but then it looks like there's like a thing that then goes down I don't know, but I think the texture's cool, and I like the big fat stitching. Big fat belt is cool with like really intense stitching as well. So like very heavy on the, you can see how it's made. There's like no hidden, things on it. Same thing with like these fur pelts and stuff like that. So we're gonna kind of approach our costuming in like a similar direction. So I'll just start blocking that stuff out, and we'll see how it goes. So this is where we kind of landed last week. We've just kind of got the body blocked in and stuff, and now we're going to block in clothes and armor and different things like that. I also want to try to take, you saw I had some reference of some bards as well. So I want to try to take those orc shapes, but then also incorporate bards in there as well. So I think that'll be very cool to help kind of move our character along. We get some fun shapes that feel kind of like fun and whimsical, and like musical, but also adding, that kind of orcish element to it as well. So yeah, we'll play with it. We'll see what we do, because I also have some gestures and stuff up here. So I think I want to give him like a very, not typical, but maybe somewhat typical like bard outfit, but dress it up like as if he had to make it himself from the materials that his tribe would come from or something like that. Tenchiros, hello, I am good. Here watching. I'm always happy to have people watch. That's kind of the point, right? So, welcome aboard. So I'm just going to dynamesh this all down into one shape, because then I can extract from it. So I usually start by taking, just try to take a shirt or something. And I like these, like, they have these like poofy vest type shirts, so I think I might try to give them kind of like a fancy vest, and then give them those like poofy sleeves maybe. But we'll see. Let's see. For now, I'm just going to try to get him to fit into a vest. There we go. And now I can use this basically to split off like pieces once I have all the pieces that I want. So if I also want to give them, some pants, maybe his pants will be like yay high. I have the toe right here. There we go. I think I said before that I actually did want to do, like, keep a lot of his anatomy open. So maybe he'll have, like, an open, like, maybe, like, a smaller vest. I was thinking, like, what if he found a bard's vest that he could, like, barely fit into? So it's, like, kind of half torn or something. So it's not really supposed to fit in, but he wants to wear one. So we might be able to do something kind of fun with that. I think that's kind of a fun idea to play with, to make it feel like it's very patchworked by him. Because again, the goal is to try to tell a story, right? So I think that could be an interesting story to tell. So I think I just want to keep pants and a vest for now, and we'll go ahead and delete hidden, and then we're going to take these and we'll split those. And now we have some pants, and we can go ahead and run the Z mesh on it. I usually don't like I need to, it's always really good to have those lines that do this. Kind of want, there we go. Yeah. It'll make moving the legs later a lot easier if we have stuff like that. And now we can go ahead and run a little inflate on it. If you're joining the chat right now, you're more than welcome to say hi. I like knowing people are there, just as Okai Sato and Tenshiro is there. Hopefully it's cool if you guys are working on your own stuff. Which, by the way, if you guys are working on stuff while streaming or while watching me, I would love to be tagged in, whatever you guys are working on. It's always really fun to see what other people's work is up to. So, and we'll make his pants brownish color. He's gonna look like the Hulk now. We're gonna take that vest, which is hiding. And then I think I'm going to, like I said, I kind of want to split it down the middle. So I'll take it and do that, and then do it very well, and I'm going to get rid of, by default, it's going to have gone through both sides. So I can do it with not mono group. Turning on double. Just so when I select this is the front. So I just don't want the front. Actually, because of that. Yeah, good. And if I feel a little slower than usual, it's because I am working with a new little keyboard thing that I got. So I'm trying out Kiwi on tablets, little digital pen. I'm trying to polygroup right now, and I don't know why it's not letting me. It's super weird. Sorry, I was looking for the polygrouping. It's not letting me polygroup for some reason. It's being really weird. When I push it on my tablet, it's like, no, I don't want you to do that. So it's very strange. That's all I want to do. But anyway. Also, now that I'm looking at this, I actually want to not cut away that much of the shirt in the back. That's a pretty intense, weird, like, V that's happening there. So, thankfully, we can just go back here. Possibly. Or we might have to go back to the pants, so I can duplicate the pants. Because the pants might have all the history. There we go. So I'm going to take this guy, and I will just cut that section back. Now I have this section and this section. Turn on double here. That's more of what I want, right? And now I can do it hidden. And now I don't need this one. It's really weird, my Control W doesn't seem to be working. Control W will, or should be, oh wait, no it's not. I'm silly. Now I know why it's not working. Oh, there we go. I had it programmed to the wrong button. Anyway, so I am trying out a new little tablet here, so I'm going to be a little slower today than probably usual, but that's okay. Just trying to have some fun, get used to it. I think it's going to help overall my... I sit at the computer a lot, so I wanted to get something that could help with not really posture, but you know, wrist health and arm health and all those things, because I want to continue drawing and continue sculpting for the plan is for a long time. So that's the goal. So it's really important to have, you know, I don't know, when people talk about like a setup, I think it's important to, you know, spend the money on a good chair and spend the money on a desk that's comfortable and all those things, because you really got to think about how long you spend, you know, at your desk. Spend a long time at your desk. So it's important to be comfortable. It's important to be healthy. And maintain healthiness. Just trying to get all these shapes right for his little vest here. There. Nomadic Mind is saying, hello, thanks for the stream, fun to listen to. I'm glad you enjoy it, because I also enjoy it. Yeah, always give a shout out that you're working and streaming, and I always really appreciate seeing what people do, and it's super fun. Art's meant to be shared, and I like seeing art, right? At least one would hope. So I'm just Z-brushing this down now, trying to get something more workable. That's actually getting there. I know that this kind of messed up here, but kind of does it again. It's super weird. But I don't mind, because ultimately we're going to split it everything. So I'll run any auto groups on it. Oh, it's so separate. Now I can also take these guys, and I'll just say delete. Okay, I'm going to inflate on that. You can start to get some sort of test. And again, I want to make it shorter. Which we can either, you know, I mean, obviously we can make it shorter, or we can just get rid of some polygons here. That might be a little too short. I think something like that, maybe. working. You can smooth these out. There we go. Move this out. So now we have like a little collar that we can utilize, basically. And maybe we can do like a little, I don't know, maybe he's got like a fun stitched, like asymmetrical collar or something. I think that could be kind of fun. We'll definitely play with it. Kind of smoothing out these groups here. And then I think we'll add maybe another piece here that'll kind of act like a little popped out vest, but we'll add some like cool stitching between. So we can do something like, I'll duplicate this and sew it, and then I'll go ahead and grab this section here, and maybe grab this section, and then I'm not going to keep all of this, I only want a little bit of it. Something like that, and then I can say fit in. Now I can move these out, try to match. Oops. Or maybe a polish by features that we can. Polish can be really intense sometimes, but I should not be also too intense. Again, I like reusing assets, but this might be a case where, I mean, I can keep it now, but I'm just gonna lower the topology on it so that way it's more workable. So I like to work super, super low. I always tell my students, as low as you can go. It's really important to stay in like a block out phase. Kind of for as long as possible, because it allows you to make the most edits and most changes to your stuff if you do it right. So I think it's really important to try to just get the shapes down, and all the nitty-gritty technical stuff can come later. But see, I like that little silhouette that we're getting now. And I'll have like some cool thick stitching or something that maybe goes and blends into these two. Which I can also get rid of some of the topology here as well. And kind of help me. This doesn't need to be this heavy. I also spent a lot of time trying to make sure that the geometry is going to be easy to manipulate. Because if it's not, then you're just going to give yourself headaches down the road. So while it's kind of like the most boring part, it's the part that's also worth doing the most or spending the most time on. Because again, this is the mesh that you'll be working with, right? So make it a good one. And once you get used to this pipeline as well in this process, you won't feel takes you that long. Like when you really start to break down, okay, how long did that really take me? You'll realize that you'll get it pretty quickly. I know it looks like a hot mess and very confusing, but I swear it'll make sense in a second. I'm just trying to get rid of that triangulation that we had before. Which sometimes ZBrush just won't always give you the geometry that you need. So it's important to go in and I did that one. I think I can just stitch right here. I was making that more complicated than it needed to be. But there you go. Yeah, so I was just fixing that little triangle that was there, and it keeps selecting my character is not me. Cool. It's one of those things too where you'll do it and maybe at first it'll feel kind of slow or time consuming, but when you really think about it and when you break down like how long it actually took you to fix that, you're like, in the grand scheme of things, it did not take me that long to fix. So worth fixing. You can see that I'm just getting rid of some edge loops and I'm like, yeah, I just don't need that. If I can smooth this out, then I get basically the same shape by getting rid of almost half the geometry. Then good to go. That's going to be much, much more workable now. I can get rid of this one too. And slide this up. Yeah, I think I like the idea of taking this red and I'll basically flip it. Flipping geometry is really annoying to like create a mess like that, but at least some people struggle with. You can split it into a different mesh. It's a little easier now that ZBrush has an extrude edge loop tool that's useful. But I should be able to just pull this out and hopefully a not super weird direction. The angle is always going to be really weird. Might be good to get an extra piece of geometry here. Oops. We're trying to group it so I can adjust it. I'm trying to find the right, that's a better angle. There we go. That's going to be less cleaner. And now we've kind of flipped it. It'll be really weird. But once we add thickness and stuff too, and then now what we can do is go in here and slide this edge loop down a little bit so we get a little bit of an easier curve. So I'm just kind of averaging out that curvature so that when we smooth it, it'll be a little more friendly. And now I will take, oops, I want this loop. Oh, stop being funky today, ZBrush. Okay. I just want to take that, and now what we can do is we can, later add some asymmetry to it, but I can mask it. I should be able to move. There we go. Now I can move just the outside points. So I can make it smaller on around the edges there. And then, like I said, I think later I want to like pop this one, out and have it be really long. And this one could be just a little more odd and asymmetrical. Just been kind of fun. And then we can kind of like add some stitching and stuff like that to it. It doesn't look like it's staying where I want it to because of the creasing. But I think for the time being, maybe if I want to just keep it right now, or yeah, I could probably just keep it right now. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. If I need to mirror weld it later and fix it again, I can. But yeah, so now I can just go and crease it. But if I crease it, then you'll see that that width will stay a little better. But yeah, even this, I want to move it out like pretty far. Maybe the inside can be like a different color, or be like a little different padding, or something like that. By default, whenever you smooth things, it gets super, super smooth unless you crease the edges, so you can just always run a crease and it'll maintain those edges a little better. I think that's looking pretty good. Pants are pretty straightforward. I think we could maybe give them... They do have these like really baggy pants. There's like these cool kind of like baggy pants type vibe that we might be able to do. Where they're like kind of big and baggy at the top, but then they kind of thin out in like a fun way. Because what other way would they thin out to? Thin out in a way. Doesn't make any sense, Ashley. Here we go. I also do not have enough G. Yes. But no, I'm talking about like... We can always remesh this if we find the shape changes like too much. But I think I like the idea of giving him... It's gonna be kind of weird for like a half quadruped, but I want it to work, so we're gonna play with it. And right now I'm just pushing to get the volume more than anything else. Oh no. No, I don't want a texture. They're actually usually not baggy on the inside. I think they're only kind of baggy on the outside. You guys know what pants I'm talking about, and maybe you get what I'm doing right now, but I'm not sure if it'll work yet. I'm gonna subdivide this just to see if I can sculpt in some forms that kind of help me read out what I'm doing. So I want these like baggy, and then it goes into these like very tight shapes here. It kind of goes back to tight, so it might pull stuff back up. Or just smooth it out, it should come much back. But if we had some like cool stitching down the side and stuff, I think that might sell. We'll make them kind of like a fancier pattern, basically. Just a little bit fancy pattern. Yeah, I think this is slowly sort of the vibe I'm going for. I might have to make the folds feel a little stiffer. I can always look up reference later and get that kind of dialed in. Sculpting folds is super fun. I always really liked sculpting folds. I use Marvelous Designer a lot for work and stuff, but for my own personal projects and stuff, I always like to just do it the old-fashioned way. Folds are always really tricky, but once you get the idea of like kind of the anatomy of folds, they can be fun to try to like search for, you know, those right shapes that you're looking for. How do you make something feel like loose versus sharp versus baggy versus, you know, there's all sorts of fun stuff that you can kind of picture and utilize. I can tune the folds, but I don't know. I think it's okay to go kind of ham on folds, and then later you can always dial it back if you need to. So I don't think you'll be able to hear it, but if you do hear maybe random screaming in the background, it's because someone's playing D&D as we speak. Yeah, that's actually kind of fun. I'm sculpting a D&D character while there's D&D going on in the background. I don't know if anybody on their party is a bard, but it would be a fun character idea. Try to pitch it to them. I do like the idea of figuring out how to make his clothes feel like they were kind of like half fitted. It might help to add some color and like patchwork. There's a lot of thinking going on in my head right now about how I want to execute this. And again, this is actually a good thing to bring up, is like, even though I have a lot of experience with 3D, this is why I also usually will begin every sculpt with a drawing, because to flesh stuff out in 3D with kind of like no plan is always going to be more of a challenge than not. So I personally really like to, you know, kind of figure out my ideas and stuff in 2D. Because as you can see, like when you're exploring and stuff in 3D, it just takes a little longer to explore. It's not that you can't, but I find myself that I tend to sit with it a lot more, rather than actually making any actions, because it takes so long to, you know, make something in 3D compared to just like drawing a quick idea of it, right? So, you know, even after the fact, I might go sit down and like draw it out again, you know, and be like, ooh, yeah, this is where I want to go with it, right? So, Reduced Functional saying using AI is great for folds. You can pre-sculpt your base of clothing, take a screenshot, put it into AI to generate variations of whatever using the screenshot as a base. It'll produce variations of the detailed clothing. That could be a cool tool for it. I personally just don't use AI. Could be a useful tool. I could see how that would be interesting. But that is one thing that I personally, as an artist, just don't dive into. because of all the issues running around with it at the moment that are kind of affecting our industry and whatnot. But once it becomes a useful tool and not a copyright danger to artists, then yes, maybe I will use some folds for that. But like I said, I also just like the old-fashioned sculpting. And I'm not even exploring anymore, I'm just having fun sculpting now. Because I kind of found, a certain form in the folds that I like. To make it feel like they're baggy and kind of like resting on his knees, and then they get kind of tighter. Some stitching and stuff that would go down. Nomadic Mind said, good news on that end. The Supreme Court said AI can't hold copyrights. Awesome. No, that is good news. To be honest, I've been kind of avoiding reading anything about it because I don't like listening. I don't like hearing it. But that is awesome news to hear. So it is a tricky world that we're going into with AI stuff, though. The fear of losing a lot of positions as artists is, very real. So, and then there's also the writer's strike going on as well. So there's a lot of changes, that are happening in my industry. They're very interesting and kind of need to happen right now. So as it changes, so do we. Let me go ahead and bring in a cube, and done. Cube head. Love it. Just kidding. I'm going to grab a cylinder here. I'm going to make this built. I think that'll be actually plenty of things for that. Normally I would not detail the pants that far. I'll probably have to go back and, I'll add thickness, and I can always project the detail back on, or, when I have an idea of stuff. But it's fine for now. It's fine. So go ahead and kind of pull this stuff into place. I kind of like the idea of having it doesn't have to be a huge belt, but definitely a little thicker. And then we can go ahead and group by normals, crease it. It's very brown right now, so we can try to change some colors here. Again, ooh, maybe he has like a purple patched up vest or something. Riz is asking, will I 3D print this? It would be really fun to 3D print it. I totally could. I don't think I've printed anything yet from... Oh, that's not true. The one thing I have printed actually is the Druid. So if you saw the D&D character, the Druid, I actually did end up printing that and painting it. It's sitting in a little protected box down there, which I actually haven't posted yet, so I actually feel bad that I haven't done anything with it. But I totally could print it if I like it enough. And yes, maybe I'll print it. Or if there's another character that you guys have seen me do before that you're like, ooh, this would be cool printed, then maybe I will listen to your advice and print that character. There are plenty of characters to print, and they have not been printed. Not any of them. So again, I think I like the idea of this vest being really tight, not because he wants to be so broy and wear a tight shirt, but because he found it and it was like not his to begin with. So I kind of like the idea of this being kind of the nicest part of his clothes, but then it having some like stitching and patchwork that could be kind of weird or silly almost. I think that could be kind of fun. So I also like the idea of maybe this has some fur on it, so it'll be like stitched and then some fur. Studio X Plus is saying, I'm personally intimidated by 3D printing because I feel like there's quite a bit of planning involved to make it structurally sound. There's the bigger you get, yes. You know, if you're printing like sideshow maquettes and they're giant, you know, like what we used to do at Legacy, then that definitely has merit to it, you know, to be a little like, ooh, I don't know if I'm doing this right? But I think the biggest thing with that though is I'm almost gonna start adding some fonts in here. The biggest thing with that is if you start small, right? So like it seems really intimidating to make something structurally sound, but if you print like D&D minis, you know, I printed, where's my camera? I always forget. Right, like this guy's not that big. It's just a little hyena dude that's hollowed out. I think I hollowed him out. And it's printed as one shape. Sorry, it's terrible. Like you can't see it. How close do I need to get? Oh, that's closer. And I painted him, you know, and he's fun. And this was just one grow that took, I don't know, like 2 hours, 3 hours I think it took to grow that. So point being is start small. You know, you can always start small, and as you get more comfortable with the software and you know, learning how to make supports and stuff like that, then you know you can start making things bigger or start learning how to split that stuff up. You know, if you're making bigger prints, but. Okay, Sato says, that print looks so cool. Thank you. That was not on stream. That one was a demo for my Gnomon class that I teach. Rizmunch is saying you can use subtool analysis or Kitco to check if it's baffled. Yeah, so one thing that's nice about actually doing it in ZBrush is subdivision. Let's go away. I don't need you anymore. One thing that's nice about doing it in ZBrush is ZBrush doesn't really like manifold geometry, so it's actually kind of hard to get it. Like if you can't get n-gons and things like that, but also things like ChiQbox and stuff, which are the supporting softwares. They run their own little like fix-it button, you know. So there's tons of stuff to help you, you know, get used to that stuff. So there we go. Okay, so I was asking, I teach class how to sculpt and print models. I don't teach actually the printing side yet. I would like to teach the printing side, but as of right now, no. No, that was a demo that I did for class, but then I ended up printing it and bringing it to class. And then people ask me questions all the time about, you know, the 3D printing process, and I'm always happy to answer, but we don't have enough time to cover that in class. So, unfortunately, I don't always get to teach it. I would like to teach a class in Gnomon that's about 3D printing. The hardest thing about that is the overhead of having to get printers and, you know, doing all that stuff. So that's the part that's always going to be the hardest. Wonder if we can. So we're just thinking. I'm gonna go detail this in some fun ways. I'm just looking at some of my references to how I maybe want to go about detailing it. But Yeah. I think I'll have to create like a cool curve brush that I'll use to create some really fun, like, not technically more complicated, it'll just look like it's more complicated stitching than it actually is. And stuff like that. And I think I'll just do something where he's maybe just got like a fur belt, or maybe he's just got, I don't know, maybe something on his arm here on the other side, just to kind of give him some break. Maybe he's got like a little metal something. I don't know. I just don't want to give him another gauntlet. I actually think he should just have something else. Okay, Sato's saying maybe in one of the streams you can make a quick demo on how to prepare a model for 3D print. If you guys want me to, 100% I will. I will do anything. I'll do anything for you guys. No, I'm totally down. Maybe we can do this character, and I can do like a little print. I can show you how I print. It depends on what you're printing as to how you prep it. But I could do a demo of how I print it for it being like a fairly small, like that hyena, right? Like a fairly small print that you could probably print as one piece. And I can totally demo that. Now that I said that, I lost my train. Oh yeah, that's right. I wanted to add something on the other side. I know what I'm doing, guys. I'm totally professional. Totally remember things that I say. Not distracted at all by anything. But yeah, I'd love to teach how to. I mean, I love teaching. So obviously, if you ask me that you want to learn a very specific thing, then you know, obviously, I want to help. I'm going to ZBrush this in half. I'm just trying to get cylinder geometry that I can basically grab like a little strap from, and then I'll take that, I might get multiple, and then I'm going to put like a, I don't know, some sort of like metal, like tiny little piece of armor. But yeah, the prepping for 3D printing is not necessarily a hard process. It's just kind of a weird one. You have to put yourself into kind of a different state of mind for that kind of stuff. But it's not hard. It's just you might not be used to it. That's all. I'm just looking to get basically this. You can see how I now have poly loops that are going around. That's basically what I want. Basically. I can grab two little straps here. Get in. Inflate. This is just a little, for me personally, I could have taken like a cylinder, right? And probably could have just warped this around and whatnot. But I feel like I would have had to do more warping than it's fun to like mess up with a cylinder because his belts are so big. So for me, I just felt like this would actually be easier. But to each their own, you know, you could have easily inserted a cylinder and done it, but now I'm just kind of warping it around and doing something like that, and then I can just take this piece here and I'll duplicate that. Symmetry, grab this piece, delete that. And again, I don't have to stick with this shape. Oops. But again, I'm just a big fan of utilizing shapes that I already have in the scene. Because it's just less to think about. Even if it's as simple as like a plane, I just don't want to distract myself with like insert this, blah, and then like move around. If I just have something that works, I just grab that. So I'm picturing like eventually we can engrave it and damage it and stuff. I'm thinking maybe engrave like little music notes on it or something. So it's supposed to be something that's like big and protective or whatever, but then it's just got like music notes on it. I like that idea. Again, as I'm, even in just like the simple block out, even though I'm looking at 3 faces, you gotta start picturing, like what's the story? Like what are you trying to tell with, your work? I think we said this would be like I don't want it to be super bright purple. I want it to be subtle. Maybe the inside of the collar can be something. Now I did say I wanted to put kind of like that jester kind of shape on him, and I still do want to do that. So I might, we could just add like a fur pelt that kind of drips down the side or something like that, and then goes down the back. So I could kind of probably put like a placeholder for that in there as well. And again, a lot of it is just going to be utilizing, grabbing my body, dynameshing it, and then I can grab, I have a picture, kind of like a pelt like that, and then I can use the pen tool to kind of draw out. Kind of like a little fur pelt, right? Extract that. Just say okay because I can't see anything. Stuff. Something maybe kind of like that, and then I'm wondering now if it would be cool if we stitch some armor onto the vest. So this here is actually the same thing, so just some metal, just to give it some more breakup, and then this will be like a lighter colored pelt. I'm gonna go ahead and dynamesh that. And then I'll use my super secret fur brush, which is the snake hook, and then I just change the alpha on it. And then I just pull out based on direction of fur. I think I've shown this before. Very helpful. Hello, Adam. Dropping in a little late? Nah, you're dropping in right on time. It's never too late to tune into some hopefully fun art. Okay, so I was asking, can you show how to make that brush? Yeah, so it's just the snake hook brush. So it's this snake hook right here. It's gonna be EBSH. And then I go to the alpha. You can do the little dotted one, but I like this one because it's a little messy. So it's like this kind of like weird spotted alpha that comes default in ZBrush. You can make your own if you wanted to, and then I just pull out from the geometry, and it gives like a pretty cool kind of like fur effect that you can then later sculpt on top of and adjust. But it's a really nice base starting point. So that's how you do that. Pretty neat. Anything for you, okay, so just even remembering that you tell me to save, reminding me to save. See what you've done to me? I love it. He's the man. Or girl, I don't know, but you're the person. The dude. There we go. I like it because it also makes him feel like a performer. He's got like Elton John vibe now. Like he's got this fancy fur pelt that he wears. It's like it is kind of like showy. It's kind of fun actually. I never even thought of it looking like that until you put it into 3D. Pretty fun. We can put little like, I don't know, teeth, or we'll put something down there. Cute. Cute. I like him. Oh. The only thing is I want to show off that stitching. So I kind of want to, I don't know, I want to pull this stuff back maybe. Some interesting music vibes. I like it. So I took your guys' advice. I got KT tape. Be proud of me. I did it. I'm trying to be good. Although, honestly, I should have put one on my shoulder again because it's always acting up. I don't know why. On the back, you can see that that's very gesture. It's feeling very gestury, which I like. But his ears, it definitely helps. But his ears kind of like got floss in the silhouette now, so I'm actually going to fill them up a bit. Oh yeah. I'm liking his silhouette so far, guys. Pretty happy so far. Yoga? Yes, you are right. Time to take a break and do some yoga, guys. Do some stretching. I will do yoga, I promise. I will. I don't know why it's like, I don't know if it's because I work all day and then I come in here and then I don't know what I'm doing. It makes it all of a sudden be like, you're going to be in pain now. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you, body. Appreciate you. Ooh, we're totally going to add some like lacing that goes across. That'd be kind of fun. Again, I'm just grabbing the collar because I don't want to mess up the symmetry of the thing. I just want to kind of play with the shape of this guy. Got like bebop, vibe. That's what I'm thinking about. Bebop vibe. With that, Chris would be proud of me right now. With that collar. And we can mess it up more, like we can put it more to the side. I just don't want to mess up too much of the symmetry yet. So I'm just trying to get like a feel for where that collar can go. And then again, I want to show off like the stitching and stuff that will happen on the head here. Cool. His pants on the original one were red, but I don't think we're gonna stick to that now. I think we'll do something else. I do think we need to add some more fun flares to his outfit. Oh, they have, I wonder if I could give them, like, I don't know if it's accurate for loot players, but they have, like, the little picking ring, Maybe we can give them one of those. It doesn't have to be now, because that seems silly to pose, but I think in the future, I think that could work pretty well. So I think I'll go ahead and extrude I think I'm ready. I'll extrude this because I think all the stitching and stuff that I'm gonna do is gonna be. Actually, I might wait. Sorry, this is my internal brain going. What do you want to do next, Ashley? Like, I think I want to start putting in some like rope details and getting those things in because that will start making me think about other things that we could do. So we're gonna kind of put him up here, and we're gonna go down to where we have a little tooth down there. I'm gonna duplicate it, send it home, and we're gonna work on some assets here that I'm hoping can help kind of solidify some more of the design ideas that I have in my head. So we'll see. So I'm going to make it like a couple things just to play with. So to start off with, I know it sounds weird, but I'm just going to make a cylinder. And put my normals. And that's literally all I'm going to make. Cylinder with no open nor close, and you'll see why. So I'll say create an insert mesh. I'll say new. So now we've got one down. So now I'm going to go ahead and let's duplicate this, make this smaller. Kind of like that. I will extrude all these polygons in. I'm going to flip it. Merge down, So basically all I'm making is, I'm just trying to think of different fun ways to add stitching or just like fun little details to stuff. They don't have to be exactly solidified yet, but I want to just start kind of, this is kind of how I generate insert meshes, because I just start kind of thinking of ideas of what could be a fun pattern that I can utilize for this thing. And I'll just make like kind of a variation of a bunch of them, and then I can see which one works and which ones don't. And I'll just append it to the one that I have, like just the normal cylinder, then I have that one. Well, now I can duplicate this and maybe I can make one that's only I'm gonna make just different pieces of it. So maybe I'll make one that's only the cross stitching, right? Completely hidden. And now I can make one that's like that. Say create insert mesh. You can start like generating them very fast. Once you have kind of like somewhat of a layout for what you want to do. And then maybe I'll take this one again and duplicate it. And maybe now I'll get rid of this guy. I'm going to be careful not to move it. You don't want to move it past where the stitching basically would go, or where ZBrush is going to stitch it. But just creating like a variation of stuff. Jeremy, hello. Cool. And then I can now say create insert mesh. And that one. Okay. So now we have like a couple different ones. I'm trying to think if there's any other ones. We'll see, but let's just see what these ones do now. So now what I can do is, for example, something like we can just try it on like a belt to start with. So one thing you can do is you turn on, if you have symmetry on, you click it, it'll create two paths, but you don't want it. But now that I have this selected, I can go to my curve functions, or I can turn on curve mode, so now it'll be a curve instead of an insert mesh. And then I can go to curve functions, and I can say polygroups, or you can say creased edges in this case. So now it creates a little circle here. And now I can select, this guy, and I should be able to tap onto it. And I think triparts is turned on. Which is annoying. Brush. I'm assuming that's why that's happening. So I'm going to turn on weld points and stretch. So let's try that again. There we go. So now you can see we get something that looks pretty detailed. And the top worked, but the bottom did not for some weird reason. Looks like if I click on one, the other doesn't work, which is fine. We can just, risk function says they need to try parts off by default. I agree. I don't know why it's on. It's funny because I don't know why that's on by default, but weld points and stretch isn't. I'm like, weld points and stretch should be the default, but it's not. There we go. Okay. So now you can see that we have a cool looking kind of like belt stitch, right, that goes around. This might be a little too small, so we can make it have to kind of update both. Maybe a little, that's too big. Like something like that might work. And then when we're happy with that, we can just, you can keep it, but I usually like to split it first. So I'll say split mask points. So now we have this as a separate thing. And now what we should be able to do is I can select this brush here, just one here, and we can go ahead and color that, you know, a brown, and then do the tan for the stitching. By default, it looks like they'll crease it all, so all you have to do is just say uncrease all, and then you'll get something that we're looking for. There you go. So it's really easy with stuff like this to just start adding detail in places that normally wouldn't look that detailed. But you know, creating little meshes like little insert meshes like this is super handy to be able to create detail within your mesh really quickly. I'm sort of thinking the same thing for this here as well. So because this is open-ended, what we can do is instead of saying creased edges, we can just say border. Like that, and we can do the same thing. And maybe by default it's too stuck out from the surface, so we can go to brush, which I already have open, and we can say depth, and we can change the depth of this and pull that down a bit. Just so it's sitting in the surface a bit more. Riz is asking, how did you just fix the curve then reapply to the one curve? So I'm just tapping. So whenever, usually, sometimes it's not always the case, but usually when you make a change, like the depth change or something, and you tap the active curves that you have, it'll update. So it's the same thing if I change brush size, right? It'll change the size of your curve as well. So that's how I'm doing it. We'll do the same thing here, increase all. Have this dude. Have this dude. Color pick that guy. Fill that object, flip it, color pick this one. There you go. They're going to look like kind of silly right now because the rest of it's not super detailed, but we can get into, you know, stuff that we can do. Such as, I'm going to duplicate this like little metal arm piece that I have. I'll flip it over there. I think I want like a little metal piece on this, and then we can add some fun, I don't know, like ropes or a bunch of stuff on it. Just stuff. Just stuff. I'm also right now trying to think about how I'm going to. So one of my reference pieces that I have is this cool like stitched like brown leather, you know, hood thing. And I have these cool seam lines in it. Here, I'll just bring it down. Let's just talk about it. So they have this, oops. Okay. So I have these cool little seam lines that are like made of fur, right? So there's like these cool little fur patch lines. I'm trying to think about how I would want to execute that without it being a ludicrous amount of geometry. Because I do really like this fun accent on the stitch lines. So I want to do that. But right now I'm kind of trying to rack my brain a little bit as to what's the most efficient way to create this. Because this is the kind of vibe that I want to go for. but we'll see. So I'm kind of trying to think about if it's something that I will just have to kind of like sculpt in, or if there's something kind of fancy or creative that I can come up with later to kind of make that happen. But we'll see. Anytime, Liz. Anytime. That is what I'm here for. I'm here for questions. So, if you guys are just chilling, listening to music, listening to my sweet, sweet voice, I'm sure, that is all well and good. But if you also have questions, if you see me do something, you can always say, "Hey, Ashley, what was that? Can you do that again, or can you show me what that is?" And I will try to help in whatever way I can. I don't want ZBrush to feel scary to people who've never touched it before, and I also don't want you to feel like you can't ask questions when you see me think about something or do a process and then not know what I did. Alright, so I am going to duplicate this because I don't want the stitching everywhere. I just want to grab basically here, and I'm even going to get rid of the sum of it later. But what I'll do is go ahead and do the border, grab my mesh, and I will do maybe just the stitching. And then, of course, it's not embedded into the surface, so also symmetry is turned on. Also, fun fact, see how they're just perfect circles? If you change the intensity up here from 0 to, I don't know, like half, it'll actually squish it. So it'll actually look a bit more like actual stitching. And then maybe, where are you? Maybe there's too many of them, so I can up the curve stepping on it, and hopefully that'll, lower the curve stepping. I think it's upping the curve step. This is the one thing that used to update that I feel like doesn't update anymore, so it's kind of annoying. There we go. So now they're a little bit more sparsed out. So I think that works. So I'll go ahead and I don't care about the inside. All I cared about was the top part. So I can go ahead and split mask points, and then I'm going to grab that piece again. Where'd you go? Where did you come from? Where did you go? And then what I'll do is I'm going to uncrease all. And then I'm going to insert an edge loop kind of more on the inside here. And then I'm going to crease that edge loop because I want something right on the inside. And now I'll go to that frame. Where are you? Curve functions. And now I will do crease edges. Click that. And now I have a loop that goes all the way around, and I'm just gonna pick my tube, and of course go points and stretches off. How dare you? It's funny that when you update that, it doesn't seem to acknowledge the curve anymore, which is really weird. I'll do it again. For some reason, when you go to change that, it's like, yeah, and it doesn't like you anymore. Okay. There we go. So basically, I'm trying to create the 1/2 side of this, and my draw sizes a little flat. And then I'm gonna change the depth again. Almost there. So now you can see I'm getting 1/2 of the side, and then I'll put some stitching or whatever around his little metal plate here, and then that's how it'll basically look like it'll rub together. So I think it'll be a cool little piece of detail. So now I can split mass points. And then for this, if it's too much, I might be able to do a ZBrush by half. Get something a little more friendly. But basically, I'm also not keeping all of this, so I will. I might be able to move this stuff down and stitch it manually, which isn't super fun, but it's it's doable. It's fun. I will also grab all of these and we're gonna shrink this one. There's that, and then I don't care about the other side right now, so we head in. Well, now you see I can move these and adjust these a little bit if I want to, such as I can move this one to kind of try to get it to match up here, and then I can pull this one in. Right? So there's always going to be a labor of love with these things. But I don't think I've really gone into detailing a character like this before. So I wanted to do something kind of, I guess, a bit more involved. Not super involved, but just a bit more involved. Chris Sculpt says he's got his cozy fur. Yeah, I actually really like the shape of this fur. I think it sells a lot as that jester vibe that we were going for with the, and it's, if you guys could think of something that we could add almost like jingle bells, they've got like little bells on the end. If you guys can comment maybe some ideas that you guys would have for that, that would be cool. I was thinking something like teeth or, tusks, but that seems like lot, so I'm not really sure yet what to do. But yeah, he's got his little fur belt. I just put this stuff in place, and then it's easier to move the plate, obviously. So then when I have that, now I can do same thing. I can do the increase edges will work. But, go into here and pick that tube again. Symmetry. Curse you, symmetry. Why sometimes... Oh, this is also a good note. I'm gonna smooth it out so it doesn't matter, but if you click and press Control, if it's not being stupid, it'll try to snap to your sharp edges a little better. So that's one thing you can try. If you want to. I don't mind it being smoothed out, so I'm going to keep his shapes like fairly soft. So yeah. Cabra's got a little thinking guy. It's so hard to see what that emoji is. We need emojis in this chat. We need to like make some custom ones. If you guys have ideas, I would love that. I'm sorry if I'm not very... I don't have like a motto or a saying. So I can't be like, yeah, my motto in the chat or whatever. However that works. I don't really know how that works, but I might try to lower. I might try to do this again, but I think I'm gonna lower the stepping or up the stepping, because I'm going to try to get not as many. Oh, the 10 squats, 10 push-up channel point forward. JD Smith, no. Not the Max Taken is judging my topology. I like it though. That's a good one. I do like that one actually. That's funny. Oh no, Chris says just spent 20 minutes trying to make a basic pod on Maya. Time to uninstall, right? If it wasn't for my work, that program would have been uninstalled on my computer a long time ago. Who needs stress? You can have ZBrush. That should be their motto. Why have Maya when you can have ZBrush? Trying to pick the color and have the color. Ta-da! Look at that, it's coming off. So now I can move these out a little bit. Right, so now it's like stitched together. Nice and slow, little detailing. There's these. And then again, I can just squish these, or I could redraw it, or I could delete them. I might just delete them, I'm not really sure yet. I do like the detail, but I think if I was to, I could just redo it using the curve, so I'm just going to shrink it. What is it, the 2? Shrink that. Delete hidden. Because again, it's kind of the idea that he stitched this. Or maybe somebody else stitched it for him because he's got very large hands, but he stitched it there, so. Oh, Chris Sculpt says, I love how you fixed the stitching so fast. It's witchcraft. It's not witchcraft, it's ZBrush, but it's also the Move Topological tool, which is great. Move Topological tool is very, very useful for those things. Now I can do a weird weld. And weld. So I think this stitching here should be obviously some sort of like purple. So it feels very makeshift bard vest vibe. That's what we're going for. Riz Functional is asking, how else do you use the topological button compared to using Move Topological button? What other brushes do you find it useful for? I find it useful for like, if I'm like, this is a really good example actually, is when we extrude out his little cuff and I want to like pinch just the thickness of the top of the collar. Sometimes it'll try to grab, you know, something underneath it, and that's where topological can be really handy for those things. So yeah, there's things like that, or it's usually when two pieces of geometry are very close to one another and you don't want one to mess with the other. I'm thinking if I actually want to keep that, it's like a... I don't know yet. Oh yeah, because so I do have to have the topological on my button, so that's what I'm saying is I'll go to like standard or I usually use it for something like pinch or inflate, because inflate, if I was to have thickness here and I tried to inflate and the collar was too close it would try to also inflate this, and I can demo it once I extrude the collar and stuff. But you would see it would try to touch this, whereas if I, go to like inflate, where are you? Inflate. Let me find my keys. Inflate. So if I had this, so if I clicked on inflate, I would just turn on topological, because this button, for the people that don't know, it lives under brush. If you scroll down to auto masking, it's this button here, topological masking. So I just like to have it on my UI to turn it on and off. So I'll use it for like inflate or pinch usually. I don't use it for a whole lot of other things. Another use case also is if I'm sculpting on this body is technically made of multiple meshes. So if I had like standard on and then I chose topological, I could just sculpt on the forearm, and you can see that's not messing with any other part of the mesh that I'm trying to sculpt on. So there's weird use cases where that's helpful, and then there's other times where it's not so helpful. So it just kind of really depends. But yeah, I just like having it on there because when I do use it, I hate searching through menus. So why not just have it there? It's a very useful brush. It's more useful. You'll know when to use it when you start sculpting some stuff and you're like, man, it just keeps messing with this other side of something, and then you go, it's topological. It'll come to you like a little light bulb in your head. You'll be like, oh, that's how I use that. Cool. I'm just trying to think of how I want to detail his vest, because I want his vest to feel. His vest is going to be the thing that feels the most bard-ish. So it's supposed to look a little fancier. So I'll look up some, I don't know, try to find some bard reference. I think having some like cool little strapping or like maybe some sort of like design on it, that can help kind of sell the fact that it's very different than the rest of the stuff that he's wearing because he like got it from somewhere. There's a lot of like collars are different. See some. Might be able to come up with like a cool design pattern or something for it. Ooh, I just found something else that I like actually. So I'll do it. I think it should snap. It'd be very annoying if it didn't right now. Whoops. I'm trying to extrude the edge. Oh god, it does want to snap. It's just horrible, horrible ways. There we go. That's what I want. And then I can just grab that. I like using mask by polygroups alongside too. Yeah, mask by polygroups is really, really useful. So again, I'm going to take this and I'll make a little flipped collar on this side too. I think I might have to bring it up a bit more, but I kind of like. I either have to bring it up more, or I'll bring back that edge loop. So I'll insert, and then I'll extrude. I just think the gap's too big. There we go. And now I'm going to slide this edge loop. Whoops. Easier if I just move it. So again, I'm just moving it so that way then I can extrude the edge loop again. So I'll try to find the best angle here. It's not the best angle. That's a good angle. So I'm just creating another doubled section here, and then I can pull this up a little bit. And this is where to move topological is more useful. So now he's got a very, I don't know, it's just a little bit of a fancier vest. I'm just kind of adding a little bit more detail to where I could add like cool little buttons or something to it. Or maybe you replace the buttons with teeth because one of the buttons fell out. We could have some buttons and maybe one's like a tooth, right? So he like fixed it. Which again is like a cool storytelling perspective because like an orc who doesn't care about the vest probably wouldn't care if a button would fall off, but like why does he want to fix it, right? I think is like a really fun thing to play with. It's like why would he want to fix this vest, right? Why is this vest so important to him? So I think now with that, I can extrude. I'm gonna duplicate it because I always like keeping it for like other things, but I'll do that. He's a performer. Yeah, it's gotta look good. You'd be right. You'd be very right. So now I'll extrude inwards, and we'll always get lots of overlapping and stuff. Which is fine. Either we can move it out to compensate, or we can move it later, but I think it's easier to move it now. Now that I know that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to extrude inward, I just want to create some more space in there. So it's just easier to deal with. Because I don't also, this is problematic, right? Is because like the poly group will be on the outside, which I don't like. So that's why I'm also wanting to extrude it a particular way. Because it's easier to fix this than it is to fix the other way. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna double. Is that accurate? Yeah, that's accurate. I think I'm just getting confused because the geometry is getting really weird when I made it very thick. That's okay. I'm just gonna keep going. I know I did it right. I think I'm just doubting that it was looking weird, but now it's not. So. Okay. His mud always said he was handsome troll when he has his vest on. Yeah. The most handsomes. Now I feel like I need to make his mom. She's like this tiny little like orc lady. And he's like, oh, you're so cute. He like pats his little face. She like can barely reach it. He's looking down. I love it. He's becoming if I gave him spikes, he would immediately turn into like a punk rock star, which was very funny. So I like it. I don't mind the curled edges. I think it's kind of fun. I don't think I need to make his edges pointed. I think that works. But now I can move this out a bit more. And then again, I think having these thicknesses is fine, but you can always vary the thicknesses in fun ways. And again, that's where that pinch brush comes in handy. So if I don't want to pinch, anything else, I just want to pinch here. You can see that when I pinch, see how it starts dragging all of the things? That's where that topological comes in handy. Now when I pinch it, I can start pinching in a very specific area, and you can see it's not going to affect any other thing. Same thing with inflate. If I turn on topological, I can just inflate, and it's going backwards because it's flipped, so I can just flip it. And now you can see I can inflate these things without worrying about it doing anything super weird. And then this is something where I can give, maybe I can, color the inside. So I can duplicate this, and I have the whole inside. So this might be a little overkill to do for the whole thing. So that's why I'll pick the parts that matter. So I'll turn on double. And I want obviously his collar and this part. And then I probably want this part and this part, because I don't think you're going to see really the inside of any other part there. So I'm going to color that. Then I'm just going to pick the red, go ahead and delete hidden. And then what I can do is I can run an inset. So I can do inset like group all. Never choose this stupid equidistant because it's broken. And so standard apparently. There we go. So now I can do something like that, delete the outside, and then I can extrude like the ball, crease it. Maybe that extrusion was maybe a little too much. And then I can change the color to be something else, like the purpley white. Right, so now I have like a cool little inside or something. And we can pattern we can make a little stitch pattern or something like that. It doesn't have to be a separate object. You could inset it in different ways. I think that might work because I want the lip to look. I don't think I want it to be a material that like flaps on top. I think I might want it to be a material that insets. So again, you just have to be very sure that this is like more of your final geometry when doing stuff like that, but you can still inset this. And then we can extrude this down a little bit. Oops, by polygroup. Now you have something that looks like that, which probably looks a little better. But then we can, once we poly paint and add subdivisions, we can do that. Fox Spray, ayo, I'm back. How am I doing? Doing good. How far am I into creating the campaign? Oh, you mean for the D&D stuff? or I wish this, I now want this character. Like now I want to be part of a D&D campaign and make this character because I'm actually really liking the way he's coming along. Not that I haven't liked the other characters in the past, but I don't know. I think his idea is like a lot of fun. So yeah, we're having fun making bard characters that are giant orcs. I'll have to save him for what colored it? I don't need it to color it. To save him for a very fun campaign, hopefully. But yeah, you can kind of see how we started with the vest from, you know, the character shapes and all that, and then we kind of just slowly extruded. And it's just like that simple box modeling method that goes a long way. And now I also have somewhere, it's right here. I just don't know where it is exactly on the subtools, but now I can also extrude this out too. And that can be like another extra little part of the stitching and stuff, and move that to kind of fit the piping. And we could add like cool little details and stuff to it later. Yeah, you have fun with it. And I think there could be one that goes around to the outside of here. So again, I can take what I have, but I can also take the single-sided one, duplicate the single-sided one, grab the green, grab this thing, polygroup it, grab it, there we go, glue it hidden, and now I have this piece, and now I can extrude that out, preset. Right, you can just slowly start like adding little details, and then to move it as a whole piece, I wouldn't. I would merge it all down so I can move everything kind of uniformly because everything's not super high res. So even if I merged down the stitching with the piping and the shoulder piece, like that would all be pretty easy to move around. Yeah, it's nice to see your name back in the streams, Foxbray. Welcome aboard. You're making the bards. I'm wondering if you should have like a I don't know, like a rope or something that holds his little fur on, that feels more like that, those like fluffy leather things. I don't know if it should be fluffy because it is all fluffy. But we could do something like that. But I'm also going to go ahead and I actually already have a tooth in here somewhere. There it is. Although it's a really terrible tooth because it's not symmetrical, but I'm just going to make a new tooth. That doesn't feel symmetrical. Now it does. So I can have a little tooth here. I'm gonna create an insert mesh. It's a new one. I'm gonna duplicate this, and I'm gonna make a sphere with not symmetry on. Sphere. I don't know if it's centered. No. And I'm gonna do a little half sphere here. There we go. Turn that around. And then I'm going to group normals. I'm going to inset this And then I'm going to extrude this polyproof out. Now I have a little button. So create intermesh and say new or append because I have it with my tooth. So again, I can do that fun thing that I was talking about where on one side of this, maybe it's like, it could be buttoned to the back. Isn't that a thing? I feel like there's vests that look like that. Where they have like buttons on each side. I'm picturing like a pirate, like Victorian area. We'll just do it to both sides because whatever. So split those off, and now I have a little gold button or whatever. And then we can draw on the next one. If I was smart, I would remember the size. Where is it? There it is. So now we have little buttons, and then I can pop one off, right? And now I use the tooth. I want to go that way. I think I want the other way. So he kind of tried to fix it with what he had lying around. And we can add little stitching and stuff later to make that look a little more inset into his armor. And save. Right, what can I say now? Don't need that anymore. And there we have it. Extrude this out. Do a little group by normal. I have pickups now. And now I can put this edge loop, and then I can slide this one down to kind of give like a beveled feel. There we go. From no clothes to a full rock star in a couple of hours. That's right, you guys. He's gonna be moving it up. It's gonna be great. Awesome. Yeah, I think we made a lot of really fun, cool progress with this guy. I think there's a lot of other little things that I want to add. So we have. This is part 3. So technically, usually part 4 is when I finish him up and pose him, which we could do. But I also just feel like there's like tons of other little details that I want to add. So I want to keep going. So I might actually just make this guy last a little longer, and then especially if we're gonna pose him, and maybe I will cover the 3D printing side of him. Then maybe we'll do that too. I'm liking this character, and I don't want you guys to fully miss out on like detailing the crap out of gauntlets and stuff. Because I have some fun ideas of like woven textures or something that we can do to make them feel more fun. But I'll figure it out whether or not I need to show the whole process, or we'll see. We also haven't modeled his loot yet, so there's plenty of things to still do. But if you guys enjoyed watching, thank you again for tuning in and streaming with me, or not streaming with me, but working with me while I stream and doing my fun stuff. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. And if you guys did, please come back next week. We love having you. I like having you. It makes it nice not to talk to myself. And yeah, we can keep working on this bard character. We'll model out his loot and stuff probably next week. And maybe we can give it kind of, I don't know, he's looking pretty punky. So maybe we can get a little bit of punk, a little bit of funk. He'll look kind of punky if we start adding spice to him. So that'll be great. But yeah, don't miss it. It'll be fun. Wednesdays, 7 to 9. I will be here whether you are or not. So just come on down anyway. I'll be here. Come party. And yeah, you guys have a lovely night. And I'll see you next Wednesday. So bye.